welcome to In the Studio today with Matt, Tommy, and Patty Ann Hale here on a beautiful Asheville spring day. We were just talking about all the beautiful trees that are blooming, and it's like, spring has sprung. So
finally.
I know it.
But in Asheville, it's still always cold or cool, at least in the mornings.
I love that, though. It's like I still get to wear my polar fleece in the mornings. It's like so good.
You have an attachment to your polar fleece, I think.
I do. I'm not wearing it today, but it's
like your security blanket.
I know it. All winter I've been wearing my big jacket in here. I'm like, now what do I do? So anyway, wherever you are in the world, we're really glad that you are here with us today and hoping to have some great conversation with our friend Kate Hurley, who's here. And so welcome
Thank you.
in the studio.
Thank
First time in Asheville or been here?
Yeah, it's my first time. My brother and sister-in-law live here, so
awesome.
I came to visit. Yeah.
Well, we got to meet them last year at Gathering, right, Patty? Yeah. How really?
Yeah, we met Will and his wife at our Gathering of Artisans last year.
Okay.
And so that was really cool.
Yeah, I had a bunch of friends who all moved down here together.
Awesome.
All hippies.
Yeah. It's the place to be.
I know. They said they love it here, so
it is.
awesome.
If you like patchouli and dreadlocks, this is the city for you.
I know. I've never seen so many dreadlocks in my life as here. But it's good mark of a good city.
I was watching IHOP last night on God TV, the prayer room and everything, and there's Misty Edwards on there. I'm like, she's got dreadlocks. I'm like, what's going on? What in the world now? So everybody, I guess I'm going to have to get me some. But anyway, that'd be a lot of hair extensions. So. But anyway, we're so glad you're here. What brings you to the city? Just visiting them?
Yeah, I'm just visiting them. I usually, when I travel somewhere, I try to find some shows, but this one I only could find one because I got the ticket like 10 days before I came here. It was just, I was like, I don't have anything to do. I'm going to go see my brother and sister-in-law. So
awesome. Now tell everybody where you live and where you call home right now. And
I live in Boulder, Colorado.
Awesome.
Yeah, it just feels a little like Asheville, but only on a few streets.
Yeah. Beautiful area out there.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Yeah, you still got snow on the ground? Or?
Yeah, well, right before I came here, we had a 70 degrees day on Saturday, and Monday we had 14 inches of snow.
Get out.
Yeah.
That is
so I thought
snow.
I wouldn't be able to get out here, but I did.
Wow. Is that normal? I mean...
Well, that was pretty extreme.
Yeah.
But, yeah, our springs are crazy. There's just crazy snow. Yeah. You just never know what's going to happen. It'll get hot, and it'll be snowing hot.
We moved here, and it was like December 21st, and it snowed 21 inches.
Oh,
and we're
really?
like, we love the snow because we're coming from Georgia.
21 inches?
Yeah, it was serious.
Whoa.
And then it snowed several other times. And then the next year, it snowed like 5 or 6 times, like 8 and 9 inches. And then the last 2 years, nothing. And we're
wow.
Like, where's the snow?
Yeah.
But, whatever. We're glad. We love these springs and the beautiful summers and all that here. So it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
We're so glad you're here. I mean,
Thank you.
It's funny, you hear people's names kind of floated around for so many years, and you're like, will I ever get to meet them or connect with them? And it's just neat that how God brings people's paths together and that sort of thing. So
yeah, I love it, too.
Wonderful.
It's a small world.
Yeah. So it's funny, I think, when we talk to artists and, musicians or painters or whatever it is, because, we kind of do a little bit of everything on the show, but it's so neat, I think, for people to kind of hear your story of just, when you started and how, all the different creative pursuits in your life came to be, because I know for most of us, it's not just something that we picked up one day that I'm going to do, but it's kind of been this evolution of like for me, I started playing piano when I was 4 or 5 years old, always singing, always writing, that sort of thing.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, what was that like for you? Did you grow up in a musical home? Or?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is our home wasn't that musical, but 3 out of the 4 kids have CDs, and the one who doesn't have a CD is a worship leader. Wow. So I don't know how we all got so musical, but it was all different. One's Native American flute player, one's like hard rock crazy, and then me.
Wow.
But I started playing the piano when I was really little, just like you, and I loved the piano from the time I was little. Most kids, you had to force them to practice. They had to stop me from practicing because I just wanted to practice all the time. So I've always loved the piano.
Did you play by ear or read?
Both. I read. Yeah. I was playing pretty hard classical music by the time I was in 5th grade, probably. Yeah. So I was really good. I mean, by the time I was I could play really hard pieces like Rhapsody in Blue in high school, and just I probably could have maybe even gone down that path if I had trained more in that. But and then when I was in 3rd grade, there was a contest where you had to do something creative, and I still remember it was called Time was the theme, and I wrote a song for the for that, and my piano teacher helped me write out all the notes for it, and I still remember that song. but and then there were a few more projects I did in middle school where I did music again.
Right.
And that's just how I started writing songs. So I started really young. And piano's always been my first love. I still, like, my last album was almost all piano.
Wow.
But a lot of people that see me play don't even know I play the piano. Because I do most everything on the guitar because it's just a lot easier to lead if I'm leading worship. But I'm a lot better at the piano.
That gives me so much hope because, like, I've been a piano player all my life, and then I worked at a lot of summer camps and that kind of thing in college, and everybody played guitar.
Oh, right.
And so it's like if I wanted to be in the band, I need to play keys.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, forget the guitar. Who cares about that? And now I'm like, I wish I played guitar. Because I tried to pick up the mandolin last year, and I was like, my fingers just don't do that. I can't get them to go that way. So.
Yeah, I have a beautiful mandolin, but I don't play it very much. I need lessons, but.
So when you write, do you write mostly on keys, or do you write on the guitar?
Yeah, well, it depends. If I'm writing a worship song, I'll probably usually write on the guitar. It's a little bit hard to be upbeat on the piano.
Yeah.
But if I'm writing like more of a song where people are listening, I'll often do the piano.
Right.
Again, unless I want to do something upbeat, because it's really hard for me to write upbeat songs on the piano, but it happens. Like you got Coldplay knows how to do it.
Yeah.
But I kind of learned from them. But
that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So I know for me and Patty, we've talked a lot about this on the show. Maybe you can ask the question better than I can, but for so many of us growing up, creativity became kind of this haven for us. I know for me, I kind of had a crazy home life, parents divorced, crazy stuff happening to me, and all that. My world just kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
And it's like music was always that. And I'm a basket maker now, so I spend a lot of time in the woods and that sort of thing. So those my creative times were really places of solace for me, where I really connect with the Lord. And I tell people all the time, the more that I kind of went to college and grew up and started working in a church and doing all this kind of corporate-y religious stuff, the more disconnected I got with God, even though I was supposed to be working for Him, but I wasn't being true to how He had wired me. And I know the same's for you with painting and that sort of thing. How does that work for you in your life where music has not just been this expression of your heart thing you've done, but it's also been this place of real beauty and rest for you probably as well, I would imagine.
I am very similar. My parents went through a really hard divorce when I was in 5th grade, and I do remember being able to kind of shut out the world by playing the piano. And there is something really magical about music. You just kind of know that it's from God. I mean, any art too. But there's something about music. I mean, it's like you can touch somebody's heart in a song in a different way than you'd ever could tell them in a sermon, probably. You know what I mean? Yeah. So especially somebody who doesn't know the Lord.
Sure.
You could preach to them all day long and they won't get it. But if you put it to music for some reason, they're touched by it. And I think that there has been something healing about being a musician, and I work a lot of my problems out in my songs a lot of times. Like my last album, I'm working on a new one now, but my last album, this is a good example. I had a really severe disease called Lyme's disease you guys have probably heard of Lyme's disease. I always say that, but it used to be people didn't know what it was, but now people know what it is. But I had it for 7 years, and I got to a place where I was very, very sick. I wouldn't sleep hardly ever, and I used to wake up with sores in my face and in my mouth, and I had arthritis, and I lost 35 pounds in 2 months, and I just was super sick, like organs shutting down, really, really sick. And I remember this day where I couldn't work for a year, so I would just my friends had to bring me food, and I was really, really bad. But I remember this day laying next to my keyboard, and I woke up and I rolled over to my keyboard, and I set my head down because I couldn't keep my head up, and I wrote this song called Joy Comes in the Morning. And it's based on, I think it's Psalm 30 that says, weeping may remain for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And, you know, a lot of times I'll write songs for both me and the other people that are going to be listening, but that song I just felt like God wanted me to write it so that I could sing it to myself. And so it just says, joy comes in the morning. It says, awake, O my soul, wipe the sleep from your eyes. Look and see what you missed before. Do not give up hope, though you've wept through the night. Your light will break forth like the dawn.
Wow.
And then joy comes in the morning. So, yeah, so that's a good example of God using the music to bring healing to my own life even.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's we're off to a good start because I'm so excited because I think for Patty and I both, that's the language that we really speak, that, you know, creativity is from the Spirit, by the Spirit, to the Spirit.
Yeah.
You know, it really is this, we just, in fact, we spoke at a healing thing, 2 weekends ago, and I played this video on YouTube about this old man that's got like Alzheimer's, all this kind of stuff, and non-responsive in a nursing home, and they take this iPod of his old favorite like 1940s, you know, music and put it in his ears, and immediately when they do it, his eyes open, he starts to dance, and he starts to be able to speak.
Whoa.
And have a conversation.
Wow.
And even after they take it out of his ears, it lasts for like 5 or 6 minutes, his ability to talk and understand.
Wow.
And then he just kind of slowly drifts back into his thing. But God has put his essence, his spirit, into creativity in such a way that unlocks things. And so it's such a lot of times I think as creative people, we know that anecdotally, but a big part of our passion at the worship studio is helping people to say, hey, this is not just something that happens, you know, an accident or whatever. This is a tool that God's given us not only to help heal ourselves, but also to release his presence in the earth. So, so awesome.
It's so true.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to hearing maybe one of your songs when we get back.
Yeah.
And so wherever you are right now, we hope that you'll stay tuned with us on In the Studio. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
WGNW 95.7, The Choice, where we believe a song can still change the world.
Here's the latest news from your hometown radio station 95.7, The Choice. We have assumed the operation of the cafe here at 81 Patton Avenue. We have a new menu, new hours, and a new name. The cafe is officially called the Asheville Radio Cafe, the only restaurant, cafe, and music venue with its own radio station. Open every day at 11 a.m., closed on Sunday. Visit us at AshevilleRadioCafe.com. That's AshevilleRadioCafe.com.
What is the center of your universe? Has that brought you true satisfaction? The center of your universe will determine if you are truly satisfied. Jesus is the center of the universe, the source of all satisfaction. Curious? Explore Centrality, weekly opportunities at 5 p.m. at 12 South French Broad Avenue in the Cornerstone Church Sanctuary. For more info, go to www.centralitychurchasheville.org.
Did you know that sandalwood essential oil is considered by many cultures to be a sacred oil? Sandalwood contains 90% sesquiterpenes, which can cross the blood-brain barrier and carry oxygen to the cellular level, making this a powerful oil to support brain function. 95.7 The Choice would like to thank Jackie McLaughlin for her generous support. For more information about essential oils, visit oil-essentials.com. or call Jackie at 828-452-2958. That's 828-452-2958.
And welcome back to In the Studio with Matt, Tommy, and Patty Ann Hale here on a beautiful day in Asheville, live on 95.7 The Choice. You can always hear us live here on the radio, or you can also go to theworshipstudio.org, go to our resources section and check on In the Studio, where you can see all of our archives and see our beautiful faces today and see us waving at you. So, or at least their beautiful faces, and my hairy polar fleeceless self today. So.
Please listen self.
Well, we were talking about this whole idea of art and healing and creativity and just releasing the presence of God, not only to minister to ourselves, but also God using that in other people. And you had some just great insight on that you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't know, Kate, if you know about Matt's book, but he's written a book called Unlocking the Heart of the Artist. So we work a lot with people in this healing process. I do a lot of workshops that are based in healing, just really getting people in the creative process and how that brings healing to their souls. And so I love that about your story. We actually put your testimony out on our Facebook platforms, and people already, just since last night, have been connecting with that. Give a shout out to Lori Montgomery in Johnson City. She is tuning in to your story this morning because her daughter has had some real health issues, and she's a musician. They're both musicians, actually, and artists. But her name's Mariah, and I guess she's probably about 17, 18 years old, and she's had a lot of health issues, but she really finds a lot of healing in her music. So your story that you were just sharing, I'm sure, is really ministering to her and many others. So I appreciate that. And then I was listening to some of your music last night, and I love the song "Hey Little Girl," and I imagine that has a story of healing behind it as well. So maybe you could share about that and then share that song with us.
Yeah, "Hey Little Girl" is kind of because I had a pretty hard childhood. Like, I would say my childhood was the hardest part of my life so far. And so I was thinking about how much I wished I as an adult, could go to that little girl and tell her how strong she was, and tell her, this is the worst part. Like, it's going to get better than this. And so I wrote a song kind of reflecting on that, kind of me talking to the little girl, telling her it's going to be all right. So that's the story behind it.
Yeah.
Awesome. You want to share that with us?
See a little girl in the back of my mind. See daisies in her hand. She's looking to the sky. She is looking to the sky. She is sitting on the stairs of a 2-story house, and the pain that she bears leaves no tears left to cry. Leaves her no tears left to cry. Where is the reward for the ones that have been torn? Where is the treasure laid for the ones who've known so much pain? Hey little girl, let me whisper some hope. There's mercy for you that overflows. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey little girl, won't you hear me say, there is love enough to cover your shame. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. And that little girl, so small and so scared, has been here so long, I forgot she was there. I forgot that she was there. Somehow the pain that she couldn't feel passed on to me, the way too great to bear, much too great to bear. Someone is standing near, wash away her tears. Someday when she's been found, her scars will become a crown. Hey little girl, let me whisper some hope. There's mercy for you that overflows. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey little girl, won't you hear me say, there is love enough to cover your shame. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything let me whisper some hope. There's mercy for you that overflows. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Hey little girl, won't you hear me say, there is love enough to cover your shame. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
I love that line where you talk about love enough to cover your shame.
Mm-hmm.
I so relate to that in my life. I had a crazy childhood as well, like I was saying before. I grew up in the church and very active in my creativity and all that kind of stuff. And then about the time I was 11, 12, 13, started being sexually abused by one of my family members. And not in my immediate family, but an extended family member. And but I was really involved in church then, loved God, and was trying to really reconcile this thing. And my life kind of went on, and I was involved in ministry. And then, you know, you learn to kind of hide this stuff, you know, and then there's the whole addiction end of it that kind of just all kind of went spiraling out of control. And that line that, you know, love enough to cover shame, I just was like, it took me so long in my life, and so many of the creative people that we talked to, just getting to the place that, wow, does God love me even in the midst of my mess, even if I didn't create it, even if I was just a victim, you know, again, not like wallowing in this victim thing, but just like really coming to a beautiful place of, yes, I can offer this, just like I can offer a song to the Lord, I can offer this brokenness to the Lord. And I don't know, I just really related to that. How did that happen? What was that like for you, I guess, coming out of a childhood that was, you know, kind of whacked out and not knowing how to reconcile with or even relate to God maybe, and how did all that kind of begin to come together for you? Because I think that's what so encourages people is, you know, you see this mess of a life and pain and anxiety and all this, and then see God heal that. So how did that happen for you?
Well, I have gone through some similar stuff, and I really, one of the turning points of my walk with the Lord was when I was in college. I went through a really severe depression. I was just, I think a lot of the stuff from my childhood that had never been worked out just all of a sudden came to the surface, and I was having to deal with it, and I went through a really bad depression. And I've struggled honestly with depression my whole life. It's been something that has been a battle for me. I think that happens with a lot of creative people. It seems like for some reason, but creative people struggle with emotions. I mean, they feel really high sometimes and really like alive, and sometimes they just feel sad. And but I had this experience where I was in Mexico, and I was praying, and I was like, God, like, I don't think I can have a normal life the way I am right now. Like, I don't know if I can have kids. I don't know if I can have a normal job. Like, I'm so depressed. And I felt like, as one of the clearest times I've ever heard God talk, I felt like he said, as many times as the ocean waves keep crashing back to the shore, that's how many times I'm going to heal you and restore you and bring you back to sanity, basically. And that was a turning point night for me, because I started dancing around, and I think I realized, wow, I've been listening to a lot of lies in my head about who I am, and the God of the universe loves me, and that changes things. And you know, that used to be my testimony. I could end it with, and then everything was perfect after that. But I mean, I've still gone through a lot of hard seasons since then. It is like the waves. I mean, it hasn't just been up all the time. It's been like the waves crashing back to the shore. But even in the midst of that, God has healed me. And I believe, you know, that word is true, that God's going to keep healing me more and more and more. And, you know, I can go to the same places, but I just don't stay there as long, because I have more and more understanding that God loves me. And so it's not going to be perfect, but at least I can go, okay, this is happening again. I need to believe in God's goodness. I need to trust.
And do you find yourself running to your guitar, running to your songwriting, running to your place of creativity in order to process that?
Yes. And I think people who struggle with depression, I think that there's something really cathartic about that. I'm a writer, too, so I write, too. And I mean, writing really helps me, too. So I can just get all of this that's in my mind. Because my mind is kind of... I mean, maybe most creative people feel like this, but my mind is just like...
all the time going.
All the time. And so somehow taking all of that that's going on inside my mind and putting it outside of myself. And writing or singing or music or writing songs helps me to just organize everything and go, okay. And then, you see all that stuff turns into something beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking, I was thinking about how God says that he'll take beauty for ashes. And he doesn't say he'll just give you beauty.
That's right.
He says he'll trade you, for what you have, which is only ashes. I mean, it's just this burn up mess of a thing. But that sacrifice is what he takes and turns into something beautiful. And I think that works with creativity, too. Yeah.
This weekend, this is making me think of something that somebody that's really a part of our community, Gilbert Pride. He's a dancer. He dances with banners, and he often blows the shofar. And he was talking with our little small group at the church. And he was talking about that when he blows the shofar, he was first talking about the smell when he first got that shofar, of how, because it's just the flesh of that animal is actually in that horn, and they have to pull all of that out and make it clean, and it still, when he first had that smell was still there. And he talked about how he would use anointing oil and everything to try to sanctify that thing, but he said that it was really just using it over and over and blowing through that for a long time that actually relieved that the yuck of that thing, and it became just this beautiful fragrance of sound that came out. And he talked about how, like, when it's cold and he'll take it outside, and he goes to different places in the city and he'll blow the shofar, and he said he could see the midst of his breath coming out the end of the horn, and it would just kind of fall off to the ground. He said, but he just envisioned it like, as he was seeing his breath just kind of fall off to the ground, that the sound, the breath of God that was coming through his spirit, the sound was being lifted up into the atmosphere. And I think that's so often where we come to with our creative walks. It's like we bring all of ourself, and the Lord wants that, and he uses that. And even like in the fleshly places, he'll use the mess, he'll use the junk to bring an instrument to bring him glory. And so, cool. A lot of times what we bring kind of falls off, but he uses it for his glory in that way. Like that song, I imagine, just like you're saying, that's you singing to that little girl. And I imagine that healed the little girl inside of you. Right. And so the Lord is just amazing in the way that he uses creativity to bring healing and to give glory to himself through our offerings. So.
That's good. I was thinking I so appreciate when people write story songs, and that are one of our passions as we help kind of give creative people a context for their creativity in the kingdom is that we're not trying to be Christian artists or Christian musicians, but we want to be artists and musicians and wonderful people who happen to love Jesus.
Right. Exactly.
And I think when you put the whole like Christian artist, Christian musician through up there, a lot of times when people have feelings, when they have emotions, when they write songs, they try to pour it through this Jesus filter and take all the pain out of it, and take all the mess out of it, so that it just kind of becomes like the end of the songs, not the beginning of them. It's just like, God is awesome and I'm so great, and this is, and yet I think that one of the big things that God gives us creativity for is this whole idea of, do you see what I see? Are you feeling what I'm feeling? Do you know what I know? Can you hear what I hear? Kind of bringing people into this sense of connection. And if we don't talk about pain, we don't talk about woundedness, again, not that we want to just wallow in that, but if we don't address it ever, then how can people know that God wants to be in that? And I just would ask, have you struggled with that in your own creativity? Again, being somebody that loves Jesus and wants to glorify him through your music, and yet at the same time want to be authentic with what it is that you're feeling creatively. How do you continue to balance that and walk in that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we serve a very emotionful God. He's not, displayed in the Bible as just such a passionate lover, anger, beauty, love, so many things. I mean, especially in the Old Testament, you see how he longs for Israel in such a lover-like way. And so I think to to narrow it down to only the happy kind of misses some of who God is. I teach songwriting workshops sometimes, and I talk about how the vocabulary of what you hear in normal worship songs is so limited to just a few hundred words, not a few hundred, but the same words are you often use over and over again. And a lot of that is because they want to be scripturally based, and I understand that part of it. And I'm not trying to rip on any kind of music, but I do think that it's really important for creative people to realize that there's a different way of expressing God's heart, and that just the joyful part is beautiful, but it's okay to. And I've seen it with my music. A lot of people are so drawn to the songs that are able to say, I'm going through this hard thing, but I am not going to give up.
Yeah.
Because they feel it. And, I think Henry Nouwen said...
one of my favorite authors.
I love him. Me too. It's like my soulmate, even though he's like a dead priest.
That's right. But he was awesome.
Yeah, but he said... the things that are the most universal are the most personal. And so the more personal you're able to get, the more universally people go, oh, yeah, I totally get that. I mean, like you sharing your story, I'm sure a lot of people are like, I've been through that same thing. So, but I actually tend towards sad songs because I've gone through so much sadness. And my new album is actually... It's a concept album, so it's actually all songs from God's perspective, as if He's speaking, as if He is. It's all based on verses where He's talking, and that's been really healing for me. That album, because I can tend towards being kind of somber.
Yeah.
I don't even notice till like the other day I had to type up some lyrics for some things, and I was like, these are kind of sad.
Come on.
But the new album is like when you're using God's actual words, it's hard to be negative. I mean, He's just. I mean, the verses are so beautiful. Like, though a mother may forget her baby, or woman the child within her womb, yet even if these forget, I will not forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palm of my hands. Or. In this world you may have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome. I mean, there's just so many verses where God's speaking.
Yeah.
So just to have a balance, I think that having both in there.
That's
I mean,
good.
even in that album, there's a song where God talks to, or there's one where He's saying, return to me. And so that shows a side of Him that is different than I'm a mother who wants to take care of you. I mean, kind of thing. So
we want to hear a little more about your creative process and maybe a song from the new album.
When we
get back. So wherever you are, we're glad that you're still with us. Stick with us during the break, and we'll be back here in just a moment on In the Studio.
You are listening to 95.7 The Choice, where we're not afraid to play a 6-minute song.
Programming at 95.7 The Choice is made possible with the generous support of business partners like Area 22 Guitars. Area 22 Guitars is Western North Carolina's only boutique guitar shop. Whether it's an American-made all-tube hand-wired amp like Matchless, Divided by 13, Carr, or Fargen, or a U.S.-built custom luthier electric guitar brand like Anderson, PWE, Zion, Rowan, or Gatto, Area 22 Guitars specializes in the unique needs of the discerning musician. They carry a full line of boutique effect pedals like Keeley, Exotic, Rockbox, Menatone, and Wampler. And their acoustic guitars include Breedlove, Larrivee, Eastman, Bedell, and Crafter. Area 22 Guitars, not your average guitar shop. For more information, go to area22guitars.com or call them at 828-884-2222. That's 828-884-2222. Did God tell you to move to Asheville, but you don't know why? Well, maybe we can help you with that answer. We have named our church after the book of Acts in the Bible. We call it the Acts Church. We as humans have overcomplicated this life here on earth and our understanding of God and the Bible. After all, there are only two things that God has told us to do. We are to love Him and to love each other. Come as you are and meet the love of a lifetime. His name is Jesus Christ. Visit us at actschurchasheville.com.
The world loves thrift stores, and we've just opened one. Acts 2 Thrift Store, sponsored by the Acts Church, is now located at Business Park South on Sweden Creek Road. We have everything from furniture to clothes, tools to toys. We're open Wednesday through Saturday, and we welcome your donation items as well. Just follow the signs to Act 2 Thrift Store.
We're back here today in the studio with Matt, Tommy, and Patty Ann Hale here live in Asheville on 95.7 The Choice. Also, you can get our archives at theworshipstudio.org. Under resources, you can click on there and see the video, listen to the audio there, share it on Facebook, and be a part of our Facebook group. We've got now over 1,000 artists all around the world that are connecting there on a regular basis, sharing their art, sharing their story, encouraging one another. So we definitely encourage you to be a part of that as well. I want to also remind you this week, Thursday, maybe Friday, but we're praying for Thursday, Gathering of Artisans, which is our yearly National Arts Conference. We'll have artists from all around the country and hopefully internationally as well this year, all be together in Black Mountain, North Carolina for 4 days of worship and workshops, community, bringing some of the best artists in fine art, fine craft, prophetic art, media, performing arts. Sean Foysh is going to be there with his band leading worship. It's just going to be an awesome, awesome time. So look for that at gatheringofartisans.com, on our website, on Facebook, and share and register and be a part of it.
And come be with your tribe.
That's right.
If you have not been, you have not experienced your tribe yet.
That's right. It's an awesome, awesome weekend.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, we're still excited to have Kate Hurley with us here today, and just love hearing your story, all that God's done in your life.
Thank you.
Patty was going to talk a little bit about just creative process, and because that's your language, that's where you live. So.
I am a process person.
That's right.
It's just, what I love about you, Kate, is like what Matt was talking about. You know how you're processing life through your music, and that really comes out. And even during the break, you were talking about your newest album. I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, and we'll talk about that a little more near the end. But you were talking about how in the process of what you're doing with God, you're calling to Him in ways through your music, but then this latest album that you've done has been like Him calling back to you, or Him responding to you. And so you've used a lot of scripture and that kind of thing in your new music, and like I said, we'll talk about that more. But I love hearing about musicians and visual artists and dancers, every creative person. I love hearing about their creative process. And you mentioned something earlier in the segment about not using the typical language, not using those few hundred words that everyone else uses, but looking for something new. And so I know you've done a lot with Aaron Strumpel, which is one of my favorite artists of all time. I think he is kind of in a class of his own, because he finds something that I think no one else has ever found. And so
yes, he's one of my best friends, and we're next door neighbors too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he does all his music in his bedroom under a bunk bed, so just so you know.
Well, y'all can both move to Asheville and then all be on one big
why
party.
not?
So,
Why not?
Sorry, Colorado, we just stole two of your best.
So tell me a little more about what that's been, maybe working with Aaron, and also your own creative process of how you find the new, or the thing that's never been said or never been sung. How do you find that?
Yeah, that's good. Well, Aaron and I, we're funny. We're like brother and sister, because we toured together for years. But the funny thing is we never write together.
Wow.
We've written one song together that we only wrote a little part of, because I think we're too competitive. So we just but not really. We love each other a lot. I don't know why we haven't written together that much. I mean, I haven't written with that very many. I had one friend that I used to write with who was a good friend of both Aaron and I. Every time we hung out, we would write together. But you kind of have to have a special chemistry to do that. Yeah. But Aaron and I have a very special chemistry leading worship together. Everybody says that.
Yes.
Partially because we're such good friends, because we've been doing it so long. We kind of recognize where one of us is going spontaneously, and we turn it into a song, like on the spot, basically. Right. So that's really special. But he inspires me because he's so creative. I mean, he's just such a creative person. He's helped produce some of my albums. Cool. So, yeah. As far as creative process, mine's kind of funny, because honestly, you know, people always say, do you have the lyrics or the music first? And I'm good with lyrics. I can get lyrics pretty easily. Music is hard for me. So what I do is I listen to people I like, and then I'm like, oh, I like this song, and then I'll, like, figure out how to play it, and then I'll just, like, steal everything from them.
That's just like you.
Oh, shut up. That's not. No, we always are talking about how, you know, you get this worship CD and it's so great. And then I was listening to something the other day, and I was loving this song from a big ministry in California that shall remain nameless. And I love
protection.
Yeah, and it was like this. Oh no, you know. And then I'm listening to the radio the other day, and there's Mumford and Sons, and I'm like, they totally ripped that off, you know. So I think everybody does. It's like there's nothing new under the sun, right? You
right.
know,
it's like writing is the same way, where you can kind of trace back a lot of what you're saying to something you heard somewhere.
Sure.
Or, you know, but I don't rip it off exactly the same. I just start playing the same chords, and I start singing my lyrics, and most of them you would never know.
Yeah.
But
then it'll go somewhere from that jumping off place. Like it's a launching pad, and then you'll go somewhere like brand new. Is that how it works?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And like my last album, I have one song that I like literally played the exact same piano part to from like a hip hop song. And it worked awesome though, because I needed a little upbeat, and that one was on the piano, so I was like, oh, that's how they do it on the hip hop song. Maybe I can figure it out.
It's your new market, right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Need early hip hop.
Totally.
That's funny.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, I love that spontaneous, experimental kind of place in the creative process, and so.
And I hate it because I'm like, I like to get it all in line, and Patty's always like, just play, just be free in the process. I'm like, I'm trying to write a song here. I'm trying to need some lyrics and some words, you know. But you do have to kind of be, you know, good with that messy place, you know, because it's funny. And what I do in craft is very, you know, organized, and I kind of know what I'm doing. But in my music, it's like, when I'm writing a song, there's so many scratches out, and what were you meaning there? Just
it's a mess.
Yeah,
I can't even read it.
Yeah, and just so I'm much more. It's funny, different types of creativity. I really embraced it in my music, but I don't in my other stuff. But
another one of my favorite artists is John Mark Mcmillan, who I knew briefly in Charlotte when I was at Morningstar, and I had went to his he and Sarah's. Worship Arts Revival school that they did, and so I was so interested in his music. I'm not a songwriter, but well, sometimes I am. I get a little bit here and there, but
just don't call it that. You'll be fine.
I'm not a songwriter, but I do a little songwriting. But anyway, I was so interested in his process because his lyrics were always so poetic and so ironic, and just he said things in such a new way that I went to his songwriting class, and he said that he would literally like drive down the interstate and see things on the back of a truck, or you know, on the side of a rig, or on a bulletin.
Yeah, he has a song about driving down the interstate and seeing a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he said he would just start turning words, like the words that would be on the billboards. He would just start turning them and you know, kind of prayerfully turning the words to see what would kind of pop out to him. And, you know, he was always jotting things down on napkins at restaurants, and he would rework these songs, you know, just continually, sometimes for a very long time, for months or whatever, and just keep turning these songs over until they said what they were supposed to say. And so I just found that was so amazing, because I do that as a painter too. I'm always, you know, gathering images or letting things speak to me symbolically or metaphorically, and they're always kind of turning in my spirit until, you know, it's ready to come out on the canvas. So I think the creative process is a lot the same for different genres.
Right.
But
yeah, I heard a great talk by Tom Waits, who is he's kind of crazy musician. But he was talking about songwriting, and I thought this was depicted it so well. He said every song is different. Sometimes it's like, you know, finding gum underneath the chair and being like piecing it together and trying to get it to work. And then sometimes it's like drinking a dream through a straw, where it's just so easy. And then sometimes, this is so funny, it's like your bratty kid who you're like, everybody else is in the car, ready to go on the trip. You better get in there or I'm going to leave without you. You know, like the last song in the album that you can't write.
Finish,
and
right.
I was like, that is so funny. That's like exactly how it is. It's different every time.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
That's cool.
Well, speaking of new songs, you've got a new album out.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear one of those songs. Why don't we take a short break real quick, and then we'll come back and hear one of those songs, talk about your new album. Also, your book. We didn't know. So I'm like, woohoo. So imagine I'm holding the new book right here, and we can Photoshop that in. Well, maybe not. But we'll love to hear about all of that when we get back. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on In the Studio.
Your station, your voice, your choice. 95.7 WGNW.
Hello, listeners. This is Aggie, the Italian Cookie Lady, and I am proud to support 95.7 The Choice. Whether it's a wedding, anniversary, or birthday, we have the perfect dessert for you. From cookies to cannolis, cakes, pastries, the Italian Cookie Lady is here to satisfy your sweet tooth. We use only the finest ingredients and family recipes. For more information, go to ItalianCookieLady.com or call me at 828-553-5295, and remember to mangia.
Saddle up your horses.
Are you ready for the ride of your life? Then fasten your seatbelt. We're heading down the highway for a wide open, full throttle encounter with God. You heard it right. That is the great adventure. It's a journey into the heart of God. Nothing, absolutely nothing, not landing an F-16 on an aircraft carrier, not shooting Class 5 rapids in a rubber raft, not bungee jumping from a bridge. Nothing is like exploring a limitless God, developing an intimate connection with Him that transforms your life now and for eternity. Our roadmap for this trip is the Bible. Our Bible teacher, Dennis Thurman, directs us on the ride of our life.
Catch it here on WGNW 95.7 at 11 on Sunday mornings. See you then for The Great Adventure.
Welcome back to In the Studio here with Matt, Tommy, and Patty Ann Hale. Having a great time today with Kate Hurley, who's in from Boulder, Colorado, and just having a wonderful opportunity to hear her story and hear her music. And we were talking about your new album. I don't want to waste any time. We'd love to hear just a little bit about what that's about, and then maybe hear one of the choice songs that you'd like to share.
Yeah. Again, this is just all songs from God's heart, as if He's the one that's singing. And it's special. It's really special to just be able to hear God through the whole entire album, just letting Him speak to you.
Yeah.
So this is from a verse that I mentioned earlier, which is, though a mother may forget her baby or woman, the child within her womb, yet even if these forget, I will not forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palm of my hands. And then the other one is, though the mountains be shaken and the hills be removed, yet my unfailing love for you will not be shaken, says the Lord who has compassion on you. So this is called Though the Mountains Fall Down.
Cool.
Though the mountains fall down and the sky is trembling, my love won't fail you now. It won't be shaken. So do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do you think you stand alone and you're on your last prayer? I'll come and hold you close, not going anywhere. So do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Your name is written here on my hands. Though all the world walks out, I will not forget.
I love it when you
Sweet.
opened up. I was like, Stevie Nicks, baby. I love it. I was like, I love it. You know, I like this. You know, the more chill stuff. But
Yeah.
man, your voice when you open up is great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, really nice. So
Yeah.
I have a
It's a very sweet song. It really is healing, and it does really minister like from the heart of God
Yeah.
to like those places in you. It's really, really good song.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah. I have a lot I want to ask you about that, but I'm not going to do it right now. So anyway, so the few minutes we got left, we got 4 minutes left. Tell us briefly about your book, about your CDs. Where can people get all that and that sort of
Okay,
thing? And
okay.
yeah, maybe start with your book, I guess, because that's just come out. And
Yes. Yeah, so I have a new book out. Actually, it doesn't have to do with music, really. Some of my songs are in it, but
Yeah.
I'm 30-something. I'm not going to tell you exactly
Patty's
where
40-something.
I am. Oh,
Don't tell him.
Well, just 40,
Then
actually.
when you hit 40, he will tell the whole world.
oh, no. I won't tell you.
On the radio.
I'll just pretend.
That's right.
So it's about being a 30-something single Christian. It's most of it's humor. It's humorous and touching both. But it's called Getting Naked Later, a guide for the fully clothed.
Awesome.
Yes, kind of a funny name. And I actually have a blog that's called The Sexy Celibate, both really kind of funny names. But so thesexycelibate.com is my blog. And just over my years of touring and stuff, I met so many people that were not young 20s, late 20s, 30s, who were just so frustrated not being married and
Wow.
you know, struggling with God over that issue. And so I just decided to write a book about
Awesome.
it. So yeah, so you can get the book at gettingnakedlater.com,
Great.
and blog is thesexycelibate.com.
Great.
And then you can buy my 2 old albums either on my website, katehurley.com. You can buy it on iTunes too, but I don't get very much money. Those
Yeah.
iTunes people are rich.
So go to the website.
Yes,
That's right.
or on actually noisetrade.com. You can also buy it there.
Awesome.
My new album will probably be out this summer. I think it's going to be called Sing Over Me. It's almost done, but the artwork hasn't been started yet, so we're going to have to wait on that a little bit. Yeah. So yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And if people know the Worship Circle albums and that sort of thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a part of Enter the Worship Circle,
Uh-huh.
which is a kind of a little bit of an underground, independent worship albums. People either don't know what it is or they have tattoos of
Right.
it. That's kind of,
Right.
kind of how extreme people are about it. So I was a part
That's
of
what we
those.
should get as worship studio tattoos for people at our
yes.
conferences. We're like, get dream interpretation,
thinking
prophetic
of-
ministry,
yeah.
and tattoos.
Oh,
I've
yes.
been thinking of getting
We
a
could get the
tattoo. I
henna
could get
tattoos
the
that
worship.
like don't they kind of come off.
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Yeah. You can get white tattoos so you can only kind of see it.
Or like blacklight tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love that, you know? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we love the
So
whole
you-
worship circle concept. I mean, I've been doing that for years. Patty has a real passion for that. We actually host a worship circle at our
really?
studio once a month. We've been doing it on Fridays, and now we're doing it on the first Saturday of every
wow.
month. And so people bring their guitars, and it was so cool. A couple of months ago, some guys drove up, and here this guy comes out with this huge hammer dulcimer. We're like, this is gonna rock tonight. You know? So
We never know what we're going to get.
Wow.
So it's
yeah,
really
but it's
cool.
just
Wow.
it was-
Spontaneous.
Yeah,
and
so we love that
great.
vibe, and it's great. So
you were on the third worship,
Third
the
worship
third worship
circle,
circle.
yes.
Yeah.
So
I wrote 4 songs in the album.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Well, hey, it's been really a pleasure to
Yes.
get to know you a little better today and share your story. And I hope for you guys, you'll definitely go to katehurley.com or also Getting Naked Later. Don't mess that one up because see,
I know,
that
you
one's-
know. You don't know what you're going to get.
That's right. But go there, and Patty will put that on her blog for you to see. And I'm just kidding. But we really want to encourage you. Definitely support all the stuff that Kate's doing, the voice that God's given her, and the platform that He's given her just out of this authentic life of creativity and restoration that she lives every day. So thanks so much for being a part of In the Studio. We'll hope you'll join us next week if you're live in Asheville every Monday at 12 o'clock, or if you're online at theworshipstudio.org. Anytime you can see our archive. So from Matt and Patty, we'll see you
Goodbye.
next time here
Yes.
on In the Studio. Bye-bye.
Thank you.